Hey everybody, Webbs and Lanissum are back after a pretty long hiatus again, but I expect everybody's used to that by now.
It's kind of our modus operandi.
Yeah, it is. But new game mode, new units, yay, exciting, lots of patched things. So we decided we're going to go play this new game mode here, Conquest, not the Battlefield 3 game mode. Or maybe Battlefield 3 is happening in this. Maybe.
It's pretty more just a conquest. This game mode is focused mostly on territory control as opposed to points. So even if you lose more than your enemy, but you gain all the points, then you'll still win.
Right, so we're trying to capture all these little small capture points here, and unlike the reinforcement zone or point zones that you're normally used to with Wargames European Escalation, you don't actually have to have units in those circles to keep them held. Now, they will stay held by you as long as you have units in them, even if there are other enemy units in them. So, as long as you can do that and just keep them off of them, or, stay alive in that point, then you'll continue to hold it, which is relatively important, but doesn't really factor into this particular game.
True. Any armed unit can take them. So it basically means supply trucks can't, but recon units can. Alright, so basic strategy for this game, I will be going towards Foxtrot and holding that area and pushing around the lake. Webbs will be going towards Alpha and holding that area. So we're kind of be going hold our side north-south, as opposed to what some might think and just hold the bottom east-west axis.
Now, I will like to point out, zoom out here to the main map, there is a pretty long line of attack between their base and ours. This map is actually rather large, which is kind of nice. I do like this big open map, but there's plenty of terrain cover here, so not a lot of long sight lines going to be played on this particular game, at least from my point of view, even though I am going to go armor heavy toward the latter half of the game. But one thing I would like to point out is that when we start playing this, we're not going to dedicate a lot of units toward the center of the map. And I have a suspicion that most people are not going to either, and that a lot of the fighting is going to center around Foxtrot, Bravo, Echo, Alpha, those points right there, and that people are going to circle around the map, which is kind of what we did. Now, obviously, we're going to need to play some more games so I can kind of cement that theory, but I think that's what's going to happen. So, one of these days, I would like to try an attack just straight up the middle of the map in this diagonal kind of fashion, going toward their spawn here, and seeing if that actually would do anything. So with that in mind, you want to go over unit compositions.
Sure. So in my section, I have 4 Leopard 2s. Those are pretty much my only tanks. And then I have a few recon units and a Bradley. Actually, I may not actually have Bradley yet, I don't recall.
Yep, there's the M3A1 recon.
Okay, I see. Yeah, so and I also have a few infantry units and 2 missile infantry because apparently they buffed missile units, so I figure why not try them out. So that's that.
And on my side, what I've got over here is I've got this VAB PC. It's going to go for Alpha right now. I've also got these M11P Abrams, which are basically going to be the majority of my armor force for this entire push. I noticed that I'm going to be in a lot of these really bottled up areas around this lake, lots of forest cover here, so armor is probably not going to be the way to go, at least for right now. And I think, okay, well, if I can push over here to Bravo and manage to take Bravo, then I can call in additional armor if I need to. Which, as you can see from Bravo straight back toward their spawn, is going to be a lot more open sightline stuff, which is where armor would excel. So now I've got a lot of infantry and Spartans. I've got 4 Jaguar 2s because, hey, we need to try out some tank destroyers here with 14 AP and 10 accuracy, which kind of blew my mind when I saw it. They are 60 a piece, so these are not exactly super cheap units, but they do fire relatively fast, 6 missiles a minute, and they have 12 missiles, which is really good, and I wanted to give them a shot, not to mention the fact that they're also pretty speedy, so they can keep up with any kind of fast force that I'm going to have.
Yeah, my only missile force is just a few infantry units in the Bradley. Although I'm thinking, after looking at how my infantry performed, we're going to need to be trying using them a bit more. It looks like missiles don't give away your position as much as they used to, but that might just be me.
Yeah, I don't know. Their AT missiles tended to give them away pretty hard. on my flank. So it could just be because we were, you know, having a knife fight in a phone booth over here in these forests. But
so enemy contact will be made shortly over north in the city. Yeah, that should be about first contact.
now I would like to point out that both Lanissum and I did bring on some artillery, which really I think helped us both.
Actually, I didn't bring in artillery just yet.
Okay, so that was later for you. I brought in some at the beginning of the map, and I've got this recon helicopter here, and recon helicopters, as you'll see, for me, have been pretty important this game. These clumped up units back here, this is going to be a serious issue with Red Ketchup back here. He's going to clump his units up a lot, and I think, as most people have realized by this point, you don't clump units up because of exactly what you're about to see in just a minute, which is me stunning and killing a bunch of units.
Yeah, on the north, my enemy is reconning with Strop 2s, which is approximately 50 points wasted like that. But hey, you know, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I know, we were totally cool with unit wastage going on here. I'll show you some wastage of some helicopters a little bit later. Yeah, it looks like Red Ketchup, absolutely zero craps being given about being shot while he's trying to land here. I'm not quite sure why he's staying in range of these infantry. He can definitely pull off.
Alright, he is doing his thing. Basically, bad things happened here.
So, as you can see down here, Red Ketchup is still continuing to move across this open field. I'm RDing the daylights out of him. This recon helicopter's got him spotted. You know, there's not much for him to be done right there, and I kept hoping that my artillery was going to get that command vehicle that was probably somewhere in this back corner, but sadly they didn't, so I decided to redirect their fire toward this little gap here between the lake and this forest, which is going to stun them quite a bit more as they're going along. And up north, it looks like Lanissum has Foxtrot pretty well locked down. This area is pretty much completely secured.
Yeah.
Forests are covered.
Practicing the
Recon.
whole "you shall not pass" doctrine here. And it looks like it was a good thing because my guy is definitely pushing pretty hard. You see, he has T-72Bs, which are missile tanks. He has T-62Ms, which are missile tanks. He also has somewhere around here.
T-80PVs.
Yeah, they're floating around. Maybe not on, but they're coming.
No, there's some in this forest by the lake. I know that's really descriptive.
Yeah,
but
oh, I see them.
yes.
Okay, yeah, they're right next to the Tunguska. Yeah, so basically, this guy really likes his missile tanks, and they kind of give me a run for their money for a bit.
Now, admittedly, missile tanks have always been good, and I think PACT have generally always had an advantage with those. And here's a lot of BMP-1 SP-1s right here, but it doesn't look like there are any infantry in them, which is amusing to say the least.
Over me or you?
Coming down the middle of the map.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
I don't know. Okay, now here comes the Valley of Death maneuver right here, down by me. This, he put all of his units in one place here, which he didn't hold any in reserve. He pretty much all kept them on this point here. And so my artillery and the guys that operate that artillery are just sitting there licking their chops because they know they're going to get a lot of kills today. And they were right. But these Fusiliers are going to get their lives to continue to keep these T-80s spotted for a little while longer. I kept hoping that I would be able to pop some of these T-80s with these Fusiliers, but they got stunned on the first round, so that just didn't happen. Very disappointing day. Oh well. So it goes. And here are these Mi-24As that I was telling you about earlier. Now honestly, this just baffled my mind, and I don't think we would have won this too well had Red Ketchup not done some of the things he did. But here you can see, sorry for a little ding, my mouse just decided it was going to disconnect itself for a moment there. He's going to land these Mi-24As just kind of right here in this field, and they're going to get shot and killed by this Kurz, which I didn't think was possible, but apparently it is. So, not something I would have done.
If you look up north, Red Ketchup is also throwing some of his units my way. I thought this was my guy, but apparently it's just same dude as Webbs is fighting, which I have to wonder what the other guy, Delroy Mondre, was thinking. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why. You know, he still kept some forces down south with me, and if I had known that it was that small of a little token force, I probably would have pushed harder. But dear lord, that is a lot of infantry fighting vehicles in that forest. Oh my lord.
Yeah, they rushed me pretty hard, and I'm like, damn. At some point I decided to get the heck out of there. Although I have to say, my Milans did not a bad job. They fired their missiles really fast, and they didn't get slaughtered in the first shot.
They're actually managing to rack up some kills there.
Yeah, they were actually doing pretty good.
That was a whiff, though. And then you got these T-62s coming down the road here, but oh wait, the Leopard 2A1s are in position.
Let's exercise some of that stabilizer firepower, huh?
Yep, this isn't going to end well at all for these
Especially with the
T-62s.
BMP-1s rushing forward. I can't really hold this ground. It's a bit too much.
Yeah, this is somewhat of an untenable position. Good news is, down on the other side of the map, that is not quite the case. I am having a field day with my artillery, and this guy just continuing to stay clumped up, even despite knowing that I had artillery. My suspicion is, now upon actually looking at this, he was probably way too focused on dealing with Lanissum up north and trying to just break through that flank really quickly and go capture Foxtrot. But
Yeah,
I think once that didn't happen, he probably should have balanced his time a little bit more.
possibly. So I fell back, sustained basically no casualties, and took off a few of his T-62s and BMP-1s. All in all, trading space for casualties. Which, even if this isn't a points game mode, it still matters, trading your enemy.
Now, I will admit, this particular game, I had more points than I knew what to do with. Honestly.
Yeah, I was typically floating about 500 myself.
Yeah, really. During the second attack wave, which you'll see a little bit later in this video, I just rushed an unholy number of tanks that I spawned, and I would never have been able to do that in a regular game, so I was pretty impressed.
Yeah, I have to say I kind of like Conquest.
I do too. Yeah, I'm actually kind of liking this game mode. That it's not just everything focused around these points. They're kind of general areas where fighting will take place, but you know, now fighting happens really all over the map as opposed to just along certain
Find the
lines.
enemy and kill him.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's your game mode.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course now my artillery is having fun with this cluster of units again. Oh, look at those beautiful explosions. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to push these Abrams up just a little bit because they are continuing to shift around. They're falling back finally after realizing, oh look, I'm getting shot by Abrams and Jaguar 2s and artillery. Maybe we shouldn't stay here anymore. And so they get out of there. So they're going to fall back, and we're going to play this little touch-and-go game for a while. But then I get an idea. I called in these VABs up top, and I thought, well, my suspicion is he's probably not watching his rear because these two recon units have been sitting here the whole time, no movement at all. So my goal is going to be to take these three VABs, move into the back of Bravo, pop this command truck right here, and then swing around behind him, cut him off, kill everything in that forest. Okay, so back up here with Lanissum, it looks like everything's pretty much at a standstill except for this one little Jaeger squad here that's shooting people by the lake.
Yeah, I was trying to sneak around and snipe one of their command trucks with just an infantry squad, but ran into what he had there and just duked it out. I actually killed one VPZU unit, so I came out on top somehow. I mean, which is ridiculous considering that we're out in the open together, but whatever. Down south a little bit, I decided to make a little push with my tanks, thinking he just has some BMP-1s, I can take that.
With two Leopard 1A1s, you're a brave soul.
It was with the Abrams.
Okay.
Yeah, since they have better side armor. We'll see how that works
Those
out.
M11Ps?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's got quite a few tanks along the middle line there.
Yeah, he's got a lot of stuff. I sent my recon unit up, and somehow that thing survived, and decided to get the hell out of there.
And so I managed to push past his BMP SB1s down here that were guarding this particular point right here. And as you can see now, there's absolutely nothing between me and Bravo at this point. Of course, I didn't know that at the time. So I'm going to proceed with caution here, pushing my recon up first. One thing I will say about my particular performance this game is I was a little bit slow on the attack. So something that I am pretty notorious for doing is rushing headlong into things and not appropriately scouting the enemy out first.
Speaking of rushing, up north is a big fight coming up. Ketchup is pushing up all his BMP-1s right as I was pushing my stuff. And at this point, I have to pull back again.
But I will say he is going to take a lot more losses than Lanissum is going to take here, mainly because he's fighting these Leopard 2A1s, which do have stabilizers. Not to mention the fact that they can also shoot from a longer range, and you can just see these BMP-1 SP-1s are just getting picked off with no problem whatsoever.
Basically not fair. Yeah. This is not a push he should have made.
Yeah, he pretty much lost most of his armored force right there.
Well, it was actually infantry fighting vehicles.
Well, okay. Yeah.
He was trying to use it like an armored force, I guess.
But he is pushing these T-62s up.
Yeah.
Although that's not gonna
really help.
Yeah, that's not gonna work for him.
Yeah, now they're just gonna get shot up.
Indeed they are. And as we all know, T-62s versus heavy tanks, unless you're in really close range, you're not winning that fight if you're the T-62s. So this would have been... Well, actually, I suppose at this point he's trying to cut his losses and just make for those woods where you can get away from your tank fire, but that's not really going to work because you still have units in those woods, so... Sorry.
Up north, we have another tank fight. Unfortunately for me, he has T-80 BVs flanking my Abrams, which is not a good thing.
We also have a tank fight, or at least some kind of armor fight that's about to go on down south. So he managed to kill that that recon vehicle that I was using to harass his choppers earlier, which is somewhat unfortunate. But these Spartans and whatever other recon I have in the area do manage to spot these T-62s coming in, and I think, well, you know, I can also get my infantry into the forest at about the same time he gets there and sustain practically 0 casualties. So that's what I'm going to do. And so I rush these Spartans into these woods, and he continues rushing his T-62s into the woods, which is not good, and he is going to pay dearly for that mistake. Right there, first volley, lots of tanks destroyed. Second volley, now he's in grenade range, so these tanks are going to die in a matter of seconds. So they're pretty much done. And now, these guys have a nice little line of attack to flank this entire forest line here. Additionally, I pushed my Jaguar 2s up a little bit far trying to shoot these T-80s, but that's okay because now the T-80s are exposed to my M11P Abrams that are just going to completely devastate those T-80s. I am going to lose one of these M11Ps throughout the duration of this fight, but he's going to lose pretty much all of his armor, so that's not very good, and it's going to give me a good chance to continue to press this advantage that I have, which is exactly what I'm going to do. Also, as you notice, back here in Bravo, my VAB push has succeeded. There is no more command vehicle in Bravo. He can no longer continue to reinforce his forces down here south with me, so he's completely cut off. His avenues of retreat are gone. I can spot him whichever way he goes. I'm flanking everything he's got in these woods. So now his only option is to run backwards. And I'm going to move these VABs right here, as you can see, into a position to cut him off. And this entire southern force is going to get eliminated with the exception of a few of these units right up here at the front. So up north with Lanissum, things are still a little bit toasty.
Yeah.
Like it is in this apartment right now.
Yeah, no AC in the summer is kind of ugh.
Yes, indeed.
As far as my M1 Abrams were concerned, what ended up happening was they actually acquitted themselves well, except for the fact that they kept trying to shoot the freaking infantry carrier as opposed to the T-80 BVs. In result, I lost the and they lost a bunch of infantry APCs. But I'm going to try and recoup my losses with an infantry rush. We'll see how that goes. Up north, yeah, here they come. They're coming in right now. All these TPZ fooks. So, it looks like the communists do not have a monopoly on throwing units into a firefight.
A giant meat grinder.
Yeah.
With these short distances, honestly, infantry spam rushes are pretty effective. Even though these T-80 BVs are stationary and able to pick off these Fuchs pretty easily, I don't think they're going to be able to kill all of them. Although I could be completely wrong and talking out of my butt here, and they're all going to die.
Yeah, they're pretty much all going to die.
Yep, okay, well,
I'd recommend
I'm sorry,
make sure that you refrain from instilling the virtues
of infantry spam. Yes, I see that I was mistaken. The religion of infantry rushing has let me down. These
but I
these
got
troops
one of the BVs.
Yes, you certainly did.
Let's see, 10, 20, 40, 80, 160. Okay, well, I came out of that by like minus 20 points, but it was still a success.
Now, I'd like to point out that the enemy has also called in artillery.
Yep.
Wherever his Donnas are, I know he called some of those things in at some point. We'll see them again later. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah, okay, they're in Delta right now.
So apparently he's taken a page out of my book and decided to call in some artillery.
Whose artillery was that? Oh, it's Red Ketchup. Up in the very north, you'll see that Delroy is making a pretty big push.
Yes,
I really don't have anything there in the way to stop him. It's really just more of a, hey, you're being attacked in this flank kind of force.
Yeah, he's got a grand total of 9 infantry right there, so...
Yeah, they're basically expected to just get on the radio and inform me of their impending doom. And they do that successfully. I see these tanks near the spawn that I'm calling in to take up positions in the woods here.
And additionally, he just called in a recon helicopter up top, which should hopefully...
it's actually been floating there for a while.
Oh, okay, well...
Yeah, recon chopper. Right. Good thing.
Yes, it's good to use that. But at this point, Bravo's been secured. I'm moving this VAB up to go take Bravo so that I can call in some forces in an epic, massive tank rush to the enemy spawn point, because I correctly assume that once their spawn point is gone, then they will pretty much be done for the rest of the game. So I move my command truck that was in Charlie over here to Alpha and move the Alpha VAB up into Bravo, completely bypassing all of these units, not even knowing they were there. This Kurz, as you can see here, can't see them at all. I had no idea that I had not eliminated all of the units in that forest, but that's okay. I can't see them. They can't see me. It's all good. This VAB is going to go on its way unmolested.
Up north, a hero Fuchs APC has just killed an entire squad of VPZU.
Oh, that was expensive.
Yeah. How much are these guys? 35. Ouch. Yeah. They did a bit more than just getting the radios there. They actually did fight a bit, which is surprising, really.
And then down south, Red Ketchup decides, I'm just going to not want to live anymore, and throws all of his forces that were in that forest right at me. Right into this nice little kill box between my M11P Abrams and these Jaguar 2s, which completely rip up everything that tried to go out there. So that is everything for his southern force. I move up this Kurz trying to see what's between me and their spawn. Turns out it's some BTR 60 VPs. So I recognize that I need to artillery the daylights out of that, and so fire will be raining from the skies rather shortly. Looks like some armor's pushing up north, T-62Ms.
Just barely got smashed in the woods in time there. That should keep him back for now, but you'll see that he has a lot of VPZU squads floating around.
And so north, up here, is getting pushed pretty hard. Hero Fuchs is unfortunately made the ultimate sacrifice. He is kind of dead now.
Yep.
Actually, he's very dead now. Yeah.
Very much dead. Permanently dead, actually.
Yes, he is not coming back. Looks like these T-62Ms are going to try and shoot at these heavy tanks here, and these heavy tanks are going to expose their side armor to the missiles, which is going to cost him one.
It's like once missiles start flying, you're basically committed. It's like if you retreat, you're going to lose something. You go sideways, you're going to lose something. If you stay there, you're going to lose something. It's just, I hate missiles.
Unless you're using them.
Yeah.
And then M11P Abrams takes a shot from the side from that B-80VV who's still there, but at this point, Red Ketchup is done. He realizes it's over for him. And by this point, I've told Lanissum you are not to lose Foxtrot in any way, shape, or form. You must not let them push you, because I am going to be taking these really fast tanks, AMX 30B2s, and a couple of AMX 32s for some heavy firepower. I'm going to be pushing them straight up this road, right into their spawn. And I'm pretty sure, judging by the artillery that I've been raining on this forest, and what they've been calling in down south, which is pretty much all of nothing that I would care about, that they're not going to have anything between me and them. And that's mostly right, except for Delroy Monho says I should actually put some armor down there in case he decides to do what I am going to do. Doesn't save him. Spoilers.
I don't know if you can see that he is massing a lot of guys on the peninsula.
That's a lot of VPZUs, man.
Yeah,
in
is that
one
a
place.
isthmus? Or what? I don't know what that geographical corridor is called. Anyhow, yeah, he's decided, he has to push because he probably knows what's coming on the other end of the map. Although, I'm thinking if he had put his stuff in a slightly better position, he could have made your life a lot more difficult. Or at least, put a few platoons of infantry on the road.
Oh yeah, and that's definitely why I decided to go a lot more infantry heavy for this map, because there are woods everywhere. And those laws, even to heavy tanks, are still incredibly dangerous. But at this point I've said, you know what, screw it, recon helicopter, get up there, show me what's up there. Oh look, there's some T-72As. Doesn't matter, infantry spam, except this time, unlike Lanissum, they're not gonna totally fail.
Yeah. Whew. This is infantry that's done right. You see, if you do enough spam, it'll go good for you eventually.
And see then, now, these T-72As, they're focused on my infantry and trying to kill my infantry, and so my tanks just have nice little shots at them right on the side and the back as my tanks are rolling by. And so there's all of their armor. I'm just going to push up into this forest, make sure everything else here is dead. These tanks are going to continue rolling up toward their spawn, and he's going to do something pretty smart here. He's going to take these choppers and try and intercept me with these choppers that are here refueling their spawn. But I have considered that might happen and called in for chaparrals, which, as we know, are death machines to helicopters.
Yeah, as long as they have ammo anyway.
Right, well, I didn't consider that, but doesn't matter, they all die anyway. I got lucky.
Yeah.
Okay, so here come the helicopters. And I'd forgotten for a little while that I actually had autocannons on these tanks. So
that was a complete massacre.
yes, these choppers just get torn up between the autocannons and the chaparrals. They're not going to do anything. And I noticed that they've got some AT stuff in these woods, but I really don't care. I'm just going to keep pushing, and they're going to lose these fobs, and I'm going to use them to repair, and they're just going to have a bad time. But now he's doing something that didn't really fit the situation, but I can understand why you might be considered or tempted to do it at least. So he called in 4 T-80 BVs. Now these T-80 BVs, in case you haven't been keeping score, have a lot of front armor and some decent side armor. But I have a massive blob of tanks. Okay, just a lot of tanks. And these two AMX 32s here are going to have enough armor penetration, as you can see, to be able to do damage to these T-80 BVs. So he splits them up in the attempt to try and be able to maneuver them around me a little bit more effectively. Unfortunately, that's not going to work either. I spot them early enough, so I immediately force all my tanks into this nice little forest here, which is going to clump them up. And, I realize I'm being somewhat of a hypocrite here in clumping my units up. But he doesn't have any arty, at least none that I've noticed.
Okay.
Well,
he's also getting
no, he does have arty.
Stupidly close to your
yes, he
tanks,
is. He is
which
continuously...
negates his armor, really.
Right. He's pushing them up here. And had he noticed that I had 30 B2s, I probably would have kept them back, shot these AMX 32s first, which are the only things that can do damage, really, to them, at least at long range. Notice he's trying to circle in behind me. That's just not working because there are so many tanks here. He is going to kill a decent number of my AMX 30 B2s, but not enough for it to actually matter. So there goes pretty much all of that. He's got a couple of anti-tank teams here, but those are going to die equally fast, or faster. So let's go check on Lanissum here. Hopefully he's been following my directive of not losing. It appears that that is the case, yes.
Yeah, aggroing the guys in the woods here with some infantry carriers. Yeah, they confirmed that the enemy are still in the woods.
Yes, I was about to say that was about as successful as your infantry.
They were empty, so it's, yeah, no big deal.
Well, okay, obviously that means we're just going to go sacrifice a vehicle crew.
Yeah, that's their duty, isn't it?
It is. They're like scouts without optics.
Yeah, scouts without optics are options. Da-da-da.
So my forces are going to be coming in here to clear these woods because I know there's still a command vehicle in here somewhere. I've spotted it with this Kiowa, but unfortunately my Kiowa doesn't like living anymore and is going to get really close to this this anti-aircraft artillery, and he's going to bite it. But that doesn't matter because I know where everything is now, and well, that's all for Delta. So now let's take score of the entire map. They have Echo as their command point. They've got, let's see, 1 command vehicle here, 2 command vehicles there, but no call-in points. So at this point, no more units for the Pact. So now all we have to do is just seek and destroy everything else that they've got on the map, which is still a decent amount of stuff, especially over by Lanissum.
Yeah. He's actually pushing with some recon infantry, but my regular infantry have managed to push them back, surprisingly. Although I suppose charging guys in the woods is not a good idea, even if you are recon dudes. I have some artillery fire, and I'm trying to snipe their command armor, but it doesn't seem to be quite working.
No, and I wish I had brought in, especially knowing that I would have so very many reinforcement points, I wish I had brought in some better artillery. Something that was more accurate. Because I had these down here, they should be in transit right now. Oh, no, they're not in transit quite yet. But I brought in these M109A2s, and so these are, you know, they're decent. They have 9 accuracy and 5 HE, so they can pound you from a distance. And the rate of fire is mediocre. But they hit really hard. But I could have gotten the higher tier variant that was more accurate. And I probably should have done that, because they would have been a lot more effective. Mind you, they were still really effective anyway. But it could have been that much better. So at this point, Delta is secured. Lanissum is still being pushed in these woods here.
Actually, it looks like he is making his push right now. Yeah, so somehow he's able to see my units without me seeing him. Probably his infantry.
Yes, he can see 2 of your Fuchs right now. And he just lost line of sight on him because I think his VPZUs hit the woods.
Yeah. So at this point I decided to pull back, let him come in closer, because if you look a bit back, I have 4 M1A1 Abrams as like a reserve. And, you know, even if he does get units into Foxtrot, it's not really a big deal. I just have to hold it.
Right, so long as he is not able to call in any more units, we're going to be fine.
Yeah.
That was the main point of trying to keep this point under control. And I started freaking out a little bit later in this map because, you know, Lanissum kept pulling back and started giving up a little bit of ground.
Yeah, I'm trading space for, like, casualties, really. It's generally working out quite well for me. Because, you know, once these infantry get in the woods, I mean, they're going to rip some stuff up. But if I leave the woods before you can rip stuff up, what do you have? Infantry in the woods. Sitting in the woods.
Ready to be RD'd.
Yeah. And then I decided to move this Bradley out. I don't know why. I think I misclicked. It's going to get destroyed pretty bad.
Indeed it is. It's in quite the nice little kill box there.
Yeah. Oh, there he goes. Internal ammo explosion. If we just need to be sure exactly how badly the crew died, it was bad.
So this is when I realize, and Lanissum quite audibly tells me, hey, you need to accelerate your push back there because they're forcing me back further into Foxtrot. So I decide, well, obviously this would be a perfect opportunity to call in a recon helicopter, right? Boom.
Yep. Boom. Yeah, that's so great. But then some point-blank artillery. That's always fun. Of course, the damn T-72B is firing off some missiles on the side of my tanks. Those blasted missile tanks are just, infuriating. But I get through the woods, even along his line of sight, and my M1A1 Abrams ride to the rescue of my beleaguered defenders. But he's rushing his T-62M tanks Not a very great idea there, getting too close, not using his missiles, and then my M1s get into range.
Yeah, these are going to be some pretty pricey losses for him. Especially because really the only things he was destroying were Leopard 1A2s. Unfortunately, he didn't make it far enough to actually get line of sight on this artillery here, so, you know, not going to be really gaining him very much except for this tiny little group of forest, which the artillery is going to open up on very soon.
Yeah.
If you look back into Echo, my armor is pushing into this forest pretty much unopposed. Actually, almost completely unopposed. There goes one command vehicle right there. The only thing that's left is this BDRM-2U right here. Once it dies, this game is over. You also notice we have 18 out of the 21 command points on the map, so as long as we can keep them off of Foxtrot, we're going to win this pretty soon.
Pretty much, and I've just about crushed the attack. Shot up his tanks, and then once his missile tanks were gone, he was basically without options.
Oh, he's got two BDRM-2Us. Missed that second one. He's keeping it right there next to Foxtrot, just in case. Just in case.
I finally find that BV again and start trading point-blank shots with it. And there goes his last missile tank, finally. Although honestly, it's like pretty much most Soviet tanks are missile tanks, it seems.
Indeed they are.
It's just annoying when they get used correctly.
So I've realized I have a slight problem. My tanks are out of gas. That is a minor inconvenience. So there's us taking another point. I'm pushing this group of VABs up into this city. The only thing that's here, this is BMP-1, SP-1, which is going to die rather horribly. Sorry, BMP-1.
And we have some really nice alert messages. The projection value on those, you can tell, is super high.
Yes,
beep,
indeed.
Beep, 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 beep. Yeah.
I'm fairly confident you just scarred somebody for life, Lanissum.
Possibly. I'm never any good at high-pitched noises anyway, right?
No. No, we will never speak of this again.
Okay.
But of course, Delroy is very kind to show us where his artillery is, especially considering this recon is desperately trying to find it. But he decides he's going to try and shoot Lanissum's tanks there just to give us a good indication of where his artillery is, so my tanks can come and have his artillery pieces hold some shells for them. And as it turns out, these artillery pieces are actually very good at holding shells.
At this point, the enemy has been completely destroyed, so I call on a spam of helicopters with all those extra points I haven't spent.
I know, we both probably had 1,000 points at the end of this round
Yeah,
that we just weren't doing anything with because we didn't need any reinforcements, which,
Yeah.
in hindsight, you know, yeah, we probably could have done with some extra units.
Yeah,
but
I probably
whatever.
could have done more units, less retreating, but, you know, I was fine with what I had. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I think the enemy's down to, like, all of 5 units.
Yeah, a couple Tunguskas there, this BDRM-2U, which my tanks are coming up on, and we're just doing this epic pincer maneuver. There's nowhere for them to go. My forces spot that BDRM-2U. It's going down right now, and the game is over. This is a 35-minute game, which is pretty long.
Yeah.
Obviously, even longer to Shoutcast.
Yeah, you got that right.
So, total time for this particular Wargames match, over an hour.
Dun dun dun. It's over 9,000 milliseconds. Yeah.
I hope that's actually accurate. Somebody will call it out in the comments.
9,000 milliseconds, Will? That's like 9 seconds.
Oh, shut up.
I
Right,
hope
well
that's accurate.
now they'll call me out for being an idiot in the comments.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, Lanissum here taking some pretty heavy casualties, but still managing to hold that point, which was very critical. As long as he kept him gummed up there, it was over. Me doing lots of killing. Lots of killing.
Lots of killing.
These casualties right here, quite a few losses of infantry units early on trying to bum rush their vehicles in the woods, which did keep them pinned up, you know, quite nicely for artillery to come in and kill them. Lost some tanks there at the end because of those T-80 BVs. You know, probably in that situation would have called on a lot of cheap tanks, because at that point you can just swing those cheap tanks around the back of my expensive tanks, maybe get some AT units in front of them, shoot the missiles, spam them with light tanks, and just generally keep them gummed up until they die. So overall, really fun, Lanissum. I think you enjoyed it too.
Yeah, I have to say, Conquest mode, a lot more fun than kill the enemy, every one of them.
Yes, I do promise we might possibly shoutcast again sometime before the heat death of the universe.
Heat death, I don't know, man. That's quite near.
Yeah, that might be pushing it a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, that's all for this shoutcast. Quantitative Easing, signing out until next time. Maybe.